Hello children, this is Deepa Fadke. Let me welcome you in SV Union High School and Junior College Pune. We are going to learn figures of speech in this session. We have been learning figures of speech right from our middle school, and there are a few like simile, alliteration, consonance, assonance. We have been learning right from our 5th to 6th standard. But today we are going to learn few more figures of speech which are very useful in high school. So let's begin with the definition of a figure of speech. We keep reading children to understand the language. To understand the language, we learn different words, phrases that are used in the language. Of course, while doing that, we see that these words or the language follow certain rules of grammar. But sometimes we come across with such words or with such examples wherein we see that sentences convey meaning which are totally different from their literary meaning or literal meaning. Such usage helps us to make our writing more colorful, more live. It adds emphasis and effect, and also it creates a better impact. Here is where figures of speech step in. So, figure of speech is the use of different forms of ideas or expressions to add to the impact or effect of a text. Actually, figures of speech is a colorful way of expressing one's idea in an extraordinary way or extraordinary manner, thereby creating a better impact on the mind of the reader. So, let's learn about the different types of figures of speech here. Let's begin with alliteration. In alliteration, the sounds of letters are repeated to achieve a musical effect in poems. Let's see examples. Into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. And all the men and women are merely players. Men and merely. Into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. There's a repetition of the sound of letter D over here in the first example. Second, the sound of letter M, that is M, is repeating. Third one, they do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. See here again, the sound of letter M, that is M, is getting repeated for the poetic effect. So that is alliteration, children, which you need to understand, where the sound of letters get repeated. The next one which we are learning is about repetition. In repetition, same words are repeated for pleasing effect. Children, many a times, being a teacher, I can see that children misunderstand between repetition and the sound of letter, that is alliteration. So you need to understand the difference. When the same word gets repeated for pleasing effect, it becomes repetition. See these examples. Not one is dissatisfied. Not one is demented. Not one. These words are getting repeated, children. Same way in the next examples. And rest in nature, not the God of nature. With candles and with gentena. If you gladly sweat for, fret for, and plan for it. If you see all these examples, children, there is some particular word or words that are getting repeated into the same line. This becomes repetition. Just to get a better understanding or just to get a better impact, some words are repeated by the poet. It is known as repetition. The next one, children, is climax. In climax, ideas are arranged in ascending order of their importance. Examples: or sickness or pain of body and brain. Next one, give up your time and your peace and your sleep for it. If neither poverty, famish or gout. Of all the unhealthy over darkened days. If you see these examples, children, you'll come to know there's a particular style, there's a particular kind of sequential order which begins from A and ends at Z. So there's a correct order you can say. Or sickness or pain of body and brain. So you might have understood the meaning of climax. In climax, ideas are arranged in ascending order. From the first till the last, it is like that, according to the order of their importance. Let's learn about anticlimax now. Exactly the opposite of climax becomes anticlimax. In anticlimax, ideas are arranged in descending order of importance to create a dramatic effect on the minds of the reader. See these examples. Such the sun, the moon, trees old and young. Next one. She is a great writer, a mother, and a good humorist. He lost his family, his car, and his cell phone. See these examples, children. See the last one. He lost his family. Now, according to the order of importance, the family is most important. Then comes the car and then his cell phone. So he lost his family, his car, and his cell phone. So these are arranged in a descending order. So words when they are arranged, or ideas when arranged in descending order, becomes anticlimax. So you can say about anticlimax that it is a figure of speech wherein the ideas are arranged in an order of diminishing significance for a better impact. Now let's learn about assonance. In assonance, vowel sounds are repeated within a word, phrase, or sentence for poetic effect. In assonance, vowel sounds are repeated. Which are vowels, children? A, E, I, O, U. There are 26 alphabets. Out of 26 alphabets, 21 are consonants and 5 are vowels. So wherever in the line, in the sentence, in a phrase or word, you see that these sounds get repeated in a particular way. When these sounds get repeated, it becomes assonance. See the examples. They always must be with us or we die. See here, the vowel is getting repeated here, and that's E. The passion poesy, glorious infinite. The vowel O is getting repeated here. In the third example, we could call through folios thick and long. Here, the vowel sound O is getting repeated many a times. So it becomes assonance. Now let's learn about consonants. In consonants, consonant sounds are repeated within a word, phrase, or sentence for poetic effect. See these examples. Haunt us till they become a cheering light. Haunt us till they become. Here the consonant T is getting repeated. Her hair flew like a kite in the heavenly heights. H is getting repeated. H, this consonant, is getting repeated for poetic effect. Now children, you will say here that, madam, then what is the difference between consonants and alliteration? In alliteration, the sound of the letter gets repeated. But here in consonants, the letter gets repeated. The consonant gets repeated. That's the difference we need to understand here. And when you read the sentence or a phrase, you can see there are some letters, or there is some particular letter that gets repeated. Here it becomes consonants. Now we are learning about antithesis. In antithesis, opposite words or ideas are placed in the same sentence to create a stark contrast using two opposite elements so as to draw the attention of the reader. Now if you see these examples, you'll come to know how beautifully contrast words are used, contrast ideas are used, or we can say opposite words are used. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. Unhappy, respectable. See the second example. Work day and night for it. Day and night. Such the sun, the moon, trees, old and young. The words old and young. Now these are opposite words. And when these kinds of opposite words are used, they create stark contrast, and because that is the reason they attract the attention of the reader. Now, tautology. In tautology, words having similar meanings are used for emphasis. For putting more stress on it, the words having same meaning or similar meanings are used. Now you can see these examples. They bring me tokens of myself, me and myself. Not one is demented with a mania of owning things, demented and mania. They searched for him, he was not found, searched and found. Seems useless and worthless without it, useless and worthless. So, to bring about a better impact on the minds of the reader, this is a play of words, you can say. So, it all depends on the imagination power of the writer, of the poet, the one who writes. So, he has that freedom of using all these figures of speech more appropriately at the appropriate place. So you might have understood about tautology. Whenever the words having same meaning or similar meanings are used, it becomes tautology, and that is what, to bring about a better impact, it has been used. Generally, children, when two things, two people are compared, when comparison is made between two things or two persons or person or a thing, then we understand it better. So here also in simile, two ideas or things which have just one feature in common are compared directly by using the words as, like is called simile. So you need to understand simile when you read the words such as, like, or that. When these kinds of words are given in the sentence and two things are compared, this comparison is done to be directly. It is directly done, children. Why it is called as direct comparison? Because the words like as, like, that, these come in the sentence. Now see these examples. As funny as I can. The peasants came like a swarms of flies, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, creeping like a snail unwillingly to school. Actually, these examples have been taken from your 10th standard course book. So you must understand them better. That's the reason these have been chosen. So as funny as I can. Here, two things are compared. The funniest thing is compared with myself. How did the peasants come? The peasants came like a swarms of flies, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard. So, here direct comparison is made using the words like, as, or that. Whenever there is direct comparison between two ideas or things which have only one similarity in common, one feature in common, are known as simile. Now see metaphor. There is an indirect comparison between two things which have just one feature in common is called metaphor. It is also called as implied simile. So what is the difference between simile and metaphor, children? In metaphor, you will not see the words like as, like, or that. Whereas in simile, directly these words are given, so the reader is able to understand that two things, two ideas are compared because the word like or as are used over there. But in metaphor, the comparison is made, the comparison is done, but indirectly. Can see the examples of metaphor. But still will keep a bower quiet for us, and health and quiet breathing, having a glass of blessing standing by. So here, even children, there's a famous sentence, life is a stage. Now here, it is an indirect comparison. The life is compared indirectly to the stage. But when you look at the examples of simile, you understand. Let me give you one more example of simile. As wise as an owl, he had a solution to all problems. So he has been directly compared to the owl. Here, when you see the examples of metaphor, there is no direct comparison. That is the reason metaphor is also called as implied simile. So children, in this session, we have completed maximum figures of speech with examples. We are going to have one more video session for remaining figures of speech with their examples. So till then, thank you.